He's got just 14 days to beat this hellish death game, where the stakes aren't money, but his freedom. Lose, and he becomes a slave to the system, rotting away in the dungeon. Not long ago, a deadly game took place. Only 2 people made it to the finish line, but their fates couldn't have been more different. Seiya came out on top, becoming rich and taking over a casino that robs people not just of their money, but their freedom. Kaiji could have been in his place, but his gambling addiction dragged him down, leaving him drowning in debt and stuck at the bottom of Tokyo's underworld. While Seiya lives large as the city's new kingpin, Kaiji is forced to survive in an underground hell where the only future is endless slavery. Despite their differences, Seiya not only envies Kaiji, he's afraid of him. Meanwhile, Kaiji gambles with the foreman, clinging to one desperate hope: to win a single day off. He bets everything he has, and loses the last of his money. Now, he'll have to work for at least 15 years straight, without a single day off, just to earn the right to freedom, and even that freedom must be fought for. When the foreman offers a high-stakes bet where the prize isn't money but freedom itself, the other workers rally behind Kaiji, placing their hopes and bets against their boss. Kaiji throws the dice and once again lands the winning combination, crushing the crowd's spirits. It feels like their last hope for a better future has slipped away, but Kaiji senses something's off. He exposes the foreman as a cheat, revealing that he secretly swaps the dice before each roll. The rigged dice only show 4s, 5s, and 6s, giving the boss an unfair advantage over the workers. Furious, they attack the foreman, demanding he return the money they've been cheated out of for months. Regaining their hard-earned savings, the workers pool their money to buy Kaiji's freedom, sending him to the surface with one mission: win big, free his friends, and finally break their chains. As he ascends, escorted by men in black suits, Kaiji realizes the brutal truth: the system controls every step. No one becomes rich unless they're allowed to. And even then, the workers only had enough to buy him 14 days of freedom. When the time runs out, it's back to the underground prison. Sometime later, Kaiji wakes up in the middle of a crowded street with no memory of how he got there. In his pocket, 1,000,000 yen. On his wrist, a countdown timer. His 14 days of freedom start now, and he has exactly 2 weeks to earn 200 million yen. After spending some of his money on food, Kaiji heads to a homeless shelter where the destitute line up for a warm bed. A charity offers shelter for the night, but only to those who manage to grab a numbered ticket in time. Getting to the front of the line, Kaiji snatches ticket number 98. A wave of hope washes over him. Tonight, he might finally sleep in a warm bed instead of fighting to survive another freezing night on the streets. Here, Kaiji spots Tonegawa, the man who once competed with him in deadly survival games. Tonegawa managed to survive by backing down, but he never got the money. Instead, he's been wandering the streets ever since. The two of them stare in horror at the 2 towering skyscrapers nearby, haunted by memories of having to walk a thin steel beam connecting the buildings years ago. Countless people fell to their deaths from hundreds of meters up, victims of that brutal, inhumane game, never getting the chance at a new future. Tonegawa suggests they distract themselves from the painful memories with a board game. He even offers to go easy on Kaiji, removing 4 pieces to increase his odds. Before they start, Tonegawa mutters a strange, cryptic phrase, then explains the rules. If you walk away before the game ends, you lose. The bet, 50,000 yen. The game begins. Kaiji makes just one move when he hears an announcement. The sleeping spot number 98 has become available. He can leave now, claim a warm bed, and avoid freezing to death on the street, but it means forfeiting the game. Kaiji begs Tonegawa to wait 1 minute so he can secure the bed. But when he returns, Tonegawa is gone, along with the money. However, Tonegawa left behind a glimmer of hope, an envelope with an invitation to a new casino, where Kaiji supposedly has the chance to win as much money as he wants. With no other options and part of his savings gone, Kaiji heads to the casino. But the stakes here are sky high. A seasoned gambler named Sakazuki notices the newcomer and offers to show him around. In one of the rooms, he introduces Kaiji to the bog, an infamously impossible gambling machine. In this game, players purchase metal balls that drop freely down a vertical maze filled with hundreds of nails. The goal is for the balls to navigate through the obstacles and pass through 3 planes, each with a set of holes, 3 on the first, 4 on the second, and 5 on the last. If a ball successfully passes through all 3 red holes, the player wins, reclaiming all previously lost balls. Each ball costs 4,000 yen, and the current jackpot is 1 billion yen, enough to buy back your freedom, rescue other enslaved people, and live comfortably for the rest of your life. At the moment, one man has dared to take the challenge. The casino doesn't just let you lose your own money, they'll also loan you up to 10 million yen, enough to buy 2,500 balls. One lucky shot is all it takes to win, but the balls cruelly fall into neighboring holes, leading to inevitable defeat. When the man loses the borrowed money, security stops him from escaping. He now belongs to the casino, a slave forced into underground labor or other degrading jobs, with only slim chances of ever regaining his freedom. Kaiji quickly realizes the casino is owned by a powerful businessman, with the ruthless Seiya running the place. They've already noticed Kaiji's arrival, and their hatred for him is boiling over. They'll stop at nothing to destroy him. Kaiji realizes this machine is unbeatable, it's rigged beyond reason. Right before the ball drops, it spins 5 times over the final slot, only to inevitably fall into any hole except the red one. The only way to beat the casino is to control the ball, but that's physically impossible. That's when Sakazuki steps in, trying to convince Kaiji otherwise and invites him over to his place. But Sakazuki isn't just a desperate gambler, he's a schemer with a plan to rip off the casino. At home, he's built a perfect replica of the bog machine to figure out how to outsmart the system and force the ball into the winning hole. Sakazuki is ready to risk everything to win. Once, he was a successful businessman, but he lost it all. His wife and daughter left, unwilling to live in poverty, and now he's determined to strike it rich and win them back. Kaiji thinks the whole idea is pointless but agrees to help. Sakazuki promised him 20 million yen if they succeed. That would be enough for Kaiji to multiply his bankroll tenfold and buy the freedom of the underground slaves trapped in the casino system. Soon, a woman named Yumi shows up at Sakazuki's house. She works at the casino and is part of the plan. Kaiji recognizes her. Years ago, he played a deadly game alongside her father. The man died during the game but, before he passed, begged Kaiji to look after his daughter. After winning, Kaiji secretly gave Yumi a check for 10 million yen, but even that wasn't enough to keep her out of financial trouble. Once the whole crew is together, Sakazuki lays out the plan. The bog machine uses 3 different nail board setups. 2 are nearly impossible, but 1 is easier to beat. According to Sakazuki's research, the easiest version is scheduled to appear the day after tomorrow, boosting their odds. By making bet after bet without drawing suspicion, they can pull off the con right under the casino's nose. The trick? A magnet. But there's a catch. Every player is scanned with a metal detector. That's where Yumi comes in. Casino employees aren't checked. She'll sneak the magnet in, attach it under the metal cup, hand it off to Kaiji, and he'll pass it to Sakazuki. From there, the old man will control the cup and guide the ball right into the winning hole. It sounds simple, but nothing ever goes that smoothly. Yumi sneaks the magnet in and gives the cup to Kaiji, who passes it to Sakazuki. But when the moment comes, the ball still betrays them, falling into the wrong hole. Sakazuki keeps betting, losing all his savings, unable to understand why the plan isn't working. At one point, he loses a ball but doesn't think much of it, too focused on figuring out what went wrong. Then Seiya, the casino boss, shows up and explains everything. The casino anticipated the scam. They've upgraded their defenses. The game uses not only steel balls but also copper ones that aren't affected by magnets. And Yumi? She tipped off the boss about the heist, and they swapped the balls, making victory impossible. Sakazuki is a pauper, but not a slave, since pensioners are too weak for underground labor. Still, he has one last marble that he can always trade for a meal. Kaiji doesn't understand why Yumi betrayed them, but Seiya explains. The girl thinks Kaiji killed her father because he won the game while her old man fell down. Back at Sakazuki's place, Kaiji notices the old man hiding something behind the fridge. It turns out there's still 20 million hidden in the basement, but Sakazuki is too afraid to risk losing it and becoming completely broke. When Kaiji sees the marble drop again to the floor, he tells him there's still hope for victory. He doesn't explain why but rushes off to meet Seiya to start blackmailing him over a trick the casino uses. Once inside the casino manager's office, Kaiji forgets what they were talking about when he sees that Tonegawa is just a slave serving a rich man. There are less than 8 days left, and Kaiji still hasn't won a thing. Realizing something has to change, he asks Sakazuki to agree to play the game Seiya proposed, promising to play on his behalf. Returning to the casino, they head to the lower level, where a deadly trust game takes place. The game's premise is this. There's a player who must choose one of 3 buttons that opens the correct gate. Behind 2 of the gates are starving lions that will tear the person to pieces, and behind the third is his fiancée. Playing on trust, the man asks his future bride to name a number since only she can see which button opens her door. The girl says 1, even though her screen actually shows 2. The man opens the lion's cage and instantly becomes its prey. It turns out the fiancée sold out the marriage to trick the groom and get 2 million for herself. The next player is Kaiji, who has to make the same kind of decision. He doesn't have a fiancée, but the girl standing right in front of him is Yumi. The host deliberately stokes the tension and brazenly lies, continuing to claim that Kaiji killed her father. Soon it's revealed that beneath the mask is Funai, a nasty player Kaiji faced before. Yumi says her door is number 3, while Funai insists he knows the right answer and tells Kaiji to press button number 2. Analyzing the 2 traitors' words, Sakazuki says to pick number 1. Kaiji is in a tough spot. His freedom and life are on the line. He doesn't know who to trust but notices that Tonegawa is at the control panel. The man refuses to talk to Kaiji, answering with just one cryptic phrase. After a long moment of thought, Kaiji presses the button Yumi suggested, and it's the right one. Kaiji wins 30 million, and Funai is killed. When Kaiji and Sakazuki return home, they celebrate a small victory. Soon, Tonegawa joins them. It turns out he gave the first clue back when they met at the homeless camp, and the phrase in the cage was the answer to that clue. From what he said, Kaiji realized the safe button was number 3, and Yumi wasn't lying to him. Tonegawa is also obsessed with beating the casino, but he has a completely different, and no less clever, plan. He suggests Kaiji move to the neighboring building and shows him a hole in the floor he's been working on for 2 years. Tonegawa has been trapped underground and still owes a lot of money, so he wants Kaiji to win and help him regain his freedom. The next morning, Yumi returns to the con team to help come up with a new plan. She recognizes her mistake and redeems herself by naming the correct button. The men offer her a spot in the plan, but she declines, knowing that any mistake would be blamed on her. Yumi is ready to support her teammates and do everything she can for their victory but won't take a direct role in the plan. Meanwhile, Seiya upgrades the slot machine, making it even more impossible to beat. Knowing Kaiji will come back, he uses a special tool to measure the distance between the nails and brings them closer together so the ball can't land on 3 of the lower platforms. Before leaving work, Seiya notices some movers and finds their behavior suspicious. Kaiji has less than 24 hours left before he becomes a slave for life. Realizing he can't waste any time, Kaiji, Tonegawa, and Sakazuki head to the casino. The potential jackpot is now up to 1.3 billion yen, having ruined hundreds of lives in the past week alone. Looking straight into a surveillance camera, Kaiji declares he will beat the impossible machine by exploiting their confidence in its invulnerability. Using the first 10 million yen, he starts playing, but Seiya immediately stops everything. The manager claims he's uncovered the cheaters and figured out they disguised themselves as movers to swap the balls for smaller ones. Yumi has betrayed the team again by telling Seiya, but this time she screwed up. Kaiji, Tonegawa, and Sakazuki had talked about it but didn't actually switch anything. They were testing her honesty and loyalty. It was a trap, and she fell for it, exposing herself. Kaiji doesn't understand why Yumi acts this way, but it turns out she hated her father, seeing him as weak and worthless. She doesn't want to repeat his fate, so she always bets on the winner, no matter if they're good or bad. Seiya doesn't understand why Kaiji and his friends are so confident they'll win. They're deliberately playing on the toughest platform with nails, the very one he handcrafted himself. Trying to figure out their reasoning, Seiya checks the special tools and uncovers a scam. It turns out the tool for the third platform is oversized, which lets almost all the balls pass through unhindered, boosting their chances of winning by hundreds of times. On the table, there's cement dust that fell from the ceiling. After inspecting the ventilation system, Seiya realizes that above him is the apartment where Tonegawa lived and operated. For 2 years, he's been drilling a hole for one purpose only: to regularly steal the tool and slowly replace it with increasingly larger versions. Without even realizing it, Seiya was constantly adjusting the platform, making it easier and more convenient. Having exposed the scam, Seiya has no doubt the casino will still win. This is just one of their tricks. The platforms aren't horizontal but tilted slightly, which prevents the ball from landing in the final red hole. Moreover, the whole machine is tilted forward, and the building itself leans as well, completely eliminating any chance of victory. The only thing the manager didn't account for is that the players know this too. Kaiji and Tonegawa not only studied the setup but also solved the problem. They started construction nearby, which disrupted the soft ground. On top of that, they placed tanks on the upper floor holding 20,000 liters of water. That volume was enough not just to improve the odds but to level the platforms completely, making them horizontal. Kaiji first noticed the issue when a ball fell to the floor and suddenly rolled sharply to one side. The same thing happened at Sakazuki's place, and Seiya reacted with fear, clearly trying to hide the casino's cheating. Losing 10 million times over, Kaiji doesn't quit, knowing he might win today. At one point, Seiya uncovers another con. When the balls fall to the floor, they roll backward, and he realizes they managed to change the building's tilt remotely. Seiya increases the tilt angle remotely, but that causes almost all the balls to land on the third platform, which only raises the risk of landing in the red hole. Then the manager tries the opposite approach, tilting the building the other way. It's a huge risk because if the ball lands on the third platform, it automatically goes into the red hole. At the same time, this makes it impossible for the balls to pass the first 2 platforms, so the casino wins again. Kaiji makes a few more attempts, but the balls betray him, falling into the wrong holes. It feels like the game is practically over since he has just over 200 balls left. His money is running out, but Kaiji notices something that could help him win. He asks his partners to give him all their money, but Tonegawa ignores him and walks away. Spending every last yen, Kaiji buys 700 more balls and starts the game again. His motives seem unclear until Seiya spots the problem. By changing the angle of the machine, Kaiji has disrupted its mechanics. The drainage system can't keep up, so the balls get stuck inside the tubes. They fill every open space and stop falling into the holes. Seiya tries to stop the game, but he can't interfere. Kaiji keeps playing, and the balls fill up the first platform before spilling onto the second. Soon, the second platform is full too, but none of the balls fall through. Kaiji has 61 balls left and offers to call it a draw if Seiya pays 4 million yen for every unused ball. The manager is confident the casino will win and forces Kaiji to keep going. It looks like he's about to lose, but then Tonegawa returns, borrowing 10 million yen. He buys Kaiji another 2,500 balls, dramatically boosting his chances. Starting the machine again, Kaiji watches hundreds of balls fill the first and second platforms. At one point, the first ball drops onto the third platform, and it seems victory is inevitable. The ball moves toward the red hole but suddenly bounces away. It turns out the casino has another trick. They use a blast of air to push the balls away, preventing them from falling. Hundreds of balls pile up on the third platform, but none can fall through the red hole to give Kaiji the win. Watching all this, Yumi realizes that Seiya is a brazen cheat. She understands her father always loved her and did everything to protect her. Even after falling into poverty, he risked his life by entering the deadly game with only one goal, to win for his daughter's future. She finally sees that Kaiji didn't kill her father and was telling the truth all along. He's too kind-hearted and only wants to win not for money, but to save the slaves. After 10 rounds, Kaiji fills all the platforms with balls, but none of them fall into the red hole because of the strong airflow coming from it. He loses, and Seiya orders his men to grab Kaiji and send him to the underground dungeon for the rest of his life. The game is over, and Kaiji has lost not only all his friends' money but their lives as well. Just when they're all about to become slaves, Yumi announces that she took out a $10 million loan and is willing to risk it all for one more game. She believes Kaiji will win and puts her faith, and money, in him, ruining Seiya's plans and celebrations. Seeing victory slipping away, Seiya recalls his own past. He was once a poor slave too, but won the game by killing his friends. He came to believe that friendship doesn't exist, and that betrayal and the willingness to kill anyone standing in your way is the only path to success. What's happening now is a huge disappointment to him because Kaiji proves that success is possible when you have people who believe in you. The airflow can't handle the pressure anymore, and dozens of balls start dropping into the red hole. Kaiji wins, taking home $1.3 billion. The city's owner turns Seiya into a slave and locks him in the dungeon for 1,035 years. After the victory, Kaiji, Yumi, Tonegawa, and Sakazuki split the money evenly. Sakazuki packs his things and heads to his wife and daughter. Yumi won't admit she believed in Kaiji, but she fondly remembers her late father. Kaiji uses half of his winnings to buy back his enslaved friends and free them. A little later, Tonegawa invites him to play one more game, but getting out of the car is forbidden. If you do, you lose. During the game, smoke starts coming from the trunk, where the money is stored. Kaiji realizes it's a trap and refuses to get out. Tonegawa is frustrated but can't deactivate the smoke grenade. Both are afraid to leave and lose, until a fire breaks out. They barely escape the car and watch helplessly as the money burns. Kaiji isn't upset because he has what matters most, free friends. What he doesn't know is that Tonegawa tricked him again. He hid the real money and burned a fake, taking the naive guy's winnings for himself. Can a game be called fair if the rules are rigged so the system always comes out on top? When the whole setup is stacked against you, winning becomes nothing but a rare exception. Doesn't fairness then just become an illusion, something to hold on to so we don't lose hope? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more. See you in the next video.